Hi everyone, my name's Becky, and this is my channel, Go So Beautiful. I came back on YouTube last week and I really want to keep sharing my sewing adventures with you here on this channel. I shared most of the things I had made over the past few months, but I have a few things that I didn't get to share, so this is what I'm going to share now. The first thing is the Noodlehead project tote, and I made 3 of these. I made 2 for my sisters-in-law, and 1 for myself. And I've got a little clip showing you the one I made for my first sister-in-law. So this is the Firefly tote from Noodlehead Patterns, and I made this for my sister-in-law for Christmas. I made one for one sister-in-law and I made another for my other sister-in-law because they were carrying their projects in plastic bags or Ziploc bags. So I said, I need to make a tote bag for them to carry their knitting. One of my sister-in-law knits, the other one does needlepoint. And this is a fairly straightforward pattern and has a front zip pocket there, and then also you can slip stuff into there. And the inside has a drawstring so that things won't fall out. And you can't see, but there is an additional pocket in here. It's fully lined, and I used a canvas for the outer part of the fabric of the bag, which was fairly heavy. I think it was maybe 10-ounce canvas, and that made the top stitching a little tough for my sewing machine to go over, but it went over it, and I think she is going to be delighted when she gets this. And I'll show you a picture of the other one I made. I've already given that to my sister and she loved it. I used green canvas fabric from Fabric Warehouse Direct. Actually, all of the canvas fabric came from Fabric Warehouse Direct. The second one was made with blue canvas, and the third one was made with red. The contrast that I used for the first bag was from Hobby Lobby, and the second contrast that I used for the blue bag was a remnant, but it was an Amy Butler print that came out really pretty. And then on the red bag, I used another fabric from Hobby Lobby. And these were just really interesting to make. It was my first time using leather for the handles, and I did order leather handles from Noodlehead, but I really didn't like the type of leather it was, so I ordered some handles that had pre-drilled holes from Amazon, and then I screwed them in with Chicago screws. I'd never used these before, but that's I also ordered Chicago screws from Noodlehead, and they worked out pretty good. I had tried to use rivets, but when I was putting them together, the rivets just pounded right through the other side, and they just didn't work. So the Chicago screws were much easier to use. So those were 3 things that I made right around Christmas time, and both of my sisters-in-law enjoyed them, and both of them are using them for their projects. One of my sisters loves to knit, and the other one does needlepoint. Really beautiful stuff. And I made one for myself for my knitting. I have done also quite a bit of knitting while we were driving up to Vermont for our anniversary vacation. It was pretty cold and I really didn't have a decent hat to wear, so I visited some yarn shops and got a pattern and had some knitting needles, bought some knitting needles and made myself the bankhead hat, which turned out to be a really pretty hat, but unfortunately I used Malabrigo wool, I think is what it's called. And the I don't know if it was the weight of the yarn or what, or the pattern, but when I put it on and walked outside, the wind kind of blew right through it. So I decided I needed to get a heavier weight yarn, maybe some other kind of traditional wool. But it was pretty. And then I also made some mittens, and those were really fun to make. The pattern is from Pearl Soho, called the Arched Gusset Mittens. And they weren't that hard to make, and I wore them quite a bit because the temperature did get pretty low. But unfortunately, I lost them. I feel like one of those kittens who lost her mittens. So now I'm making another pair. Anyway, I've made a few other hats. Just nice to have a quick and easy knitting project to work on when you're home watching TV or whatever. So now to the more sewing. I made this sweatshirt, which is the Didi sweatshirt from Fibre Mood. And I had planned to make this before my trip, but I didn't have the right. I really wanted to use some rib knit for the collar and cuffs, and I didn't have the right color. So I ordered some. I ended up having to order it twice because I didn't have enough, but I think it worked out really nicely. And the only thing is I didn't do the greatest job on these corners, but the print is really cute. It's these tigers and the color is teal. I'll put a picture of me wearing it so you can see the full length, but it's got contrasting collar, cuffs, and the waistband. When I made it initially, the the waistband was pretty tight, and it kept riding up on me. So I took it off and I added a piece to it to make it a little more comfortable, and it doesn't ride up as much. So that was one other thing I made. The next thing I made, after having sewn the purple dress and the red cardigan, I was a little discouraged and didn't really want to work on any garments. So I decided to make a new mug rug for my coffee cup. I had made one last year for Christmas, and I've used that thing so much it's almost worn through. And I got this pattern from Izzy from Dizzy Quilts and Sews, and she had a really cute Valentine's Day mug rug, so I decided to make one myself. The print is a little busy, as you can see, but there's a nice little heart here, and then I used this contrast, and I used the heart print for the backing, and then this is just a red with kind of salmon colored dots binding. And that was really fun to make. It didn't take that long, and you can go to Izzy's channel, which is Dizzy Quilts and Sews, and I'll put a link in the description box for the tutorial for this particular mug rug. She did several a couple years ago, and they're really cute. So that was a nice palette cleanser. Now, this week, I started working on another pair of legato jeans, and I'm really confused about what size to make. Again, when I looked at the measurements, I felt like I needed, it says they have a petite and a standard size. And the petite is for people that are 5'3" and shorter, and standard is for 5'4" and above. When I made my white jeans, I'm pretty sure I used the standard pattern. And I think I made a size 18 for the most part. But now I'm more in the 16, 14 range. So I've cut out a size 16 and I'm going to sew them up and try them on before I completely finish them to make sure they fit. So stay tuned for those. Then I would have kept sewing on those, but I got a wild idea. Like some of us do, I'm going on a scrapbooking retreat this weekend, and the theme, we always have a theme, and you're supposed to dress up in whatever the theme is. The theme is golden, and the idea is to dress up, wear all your gold, or dress up as a golden girl. Well, I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't have any gold. All I had was gold jewelry. And yesterday I was at Walmart and I thought, I wonder if they have any gold lame or something in one of those little bundles that they sell. Well, they didn't have bundles at this particular store. They did have, well, they had this gold fabric, gold knit. They had it in gold and silver. And I was like, I could make a pair of pants and a top. And it was 1.5 yards, 60 inches wide for like $9.98. So I grabbed it and I wasn't sure if I would have enough to make pants and a top. And I was going to buy this other gold fabric, which was like some kind of sequin type fabric, but I really wasn't sure if I wanted to sew on that. So I just grabbed the pants and decided I would stop at Goodwill and see if they had any gold shirts or whatever. And I will put pictures up of my entire outfit, but I used New Look. This is Carol from Sew Carol's. This is one of her favorite patterns. New Look 6458. And I just used this pants pattern here. I had a note. Apparently, I had made this once before when I was a bigger size. Shorten crotch length 1 to 2 inches. Size 22 is too big. So I checked the measurements, and according to the pattern, I think I had to make a size 20 for my measurements, which seemed pretty large to me, but I didn't want to risk making them too tight. So I cut a size 20, and I did shorten the crotch length in the front and the back by a full inch. And I tried them on and they hit my waist just right. So here's what they look like. This fabric, I used my serger for most of it, and it sewed it just fine. But I don't know. I used the sewing machine too to hem it and put the elastic in the waist. But I've already been to Goodwill and I got a gold shirt. It's like made out of silk or something, and a little vest to put over it. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but you'll see when I'll put some pictures up. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to my scrapbooking retreat. I also bought some gold sunglasses that have like a little crown over them. So I'm not really into costume making, but this was a fun project. I did it in like 2 hours, and I think it'll be a winner at the retreat. So that's all for me this week. I hope you all are doing well. I appreciate your comments from last week's video. I'll try to put some pictures up of our trip to Vermont along with all the other things I mentioned. And I will see you next week. Go so beautiful. Bye-bye.